From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another month as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. So We're finally into April. I know Major League Baseball has been going on for a while.
Forever.
There's no mystery or novelty to opening day anymore, but it is April. Hopefully the weather warms up soon, but the Minnesota Twins off to an icy start in the American League.
In the month of March. The Twins are glad that March is over. They were 0-4 in the month of March. They
went out like a lamb in March.
Yes, they did. Couldn't hit, couldn't pitch, couldn't field. Other than that, they were great.
Yeah, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? But I'll say this, maybe April will bring them better news.
Could it get any worse? Well, you didn't win a game in March.
It could, but I doubt it. They're going to find a way to win some games. The question is how many. And, are they going to be able to score some runs? Do you blame the cold weather? Or do you just say we don't have the sticks right now?
Do you want the glass half full explanation here? 2016, oh, by the way, they went 0-9 in their first 9 games. That was their worst start ever. They've gone 0-4. I believe this is the 4th time since 1961 when the Twins moved here from Washington that they have gone 0-4. But 0-9 was bottom of the barrel. That was one of Paul Molitor's final years. It was actually the following year they ended up going to the postseason, if you recall. It's early. March is in the rearview mirror. They're, as you said, they're going to win some baseball games, and hopefully April is better than March. But they got to get Royce Lewis back in the lineup. I mean, he is a harbinger of how they can get some runs on the board because Buxton is inconsistent. He's very streaky. Carlos Correa, he tends to be a slow starter. He tends to play better later in the season. He's old. He's got creaky bones.
Well, and you start in St. Louis. The weather was okay at best.
Yeah, it was
cooler in Chicago. Not going to be great against Houston here in the Twin Cities when they have their home opener. I'll give you some more glasses half full stats as well. You go back to 91, which is ancient history, but that's the last time a major Minnesota male team won a title, the Twins.
Right.
They started very slow that season, and then they came on to win the World Series. I'm not saying that will be duplicated this year. But the other thing is, if you have a 4-game losing streak or a 5-game losing streak in July, that doesn't garner the attention and the headlines it does when you come out of the gate 0-4 or 0-5. They're pushing panic buttons over there across the St. Croix in Wisconsin. The Milwaukee Brewers, a playoff team a year ago, getting battered. New York Yankees put 20 runs up on them with the torpedo bats.
Oh, boy.
So
let's order some of those, by the way.
That's my question to you. So the torpedo bats are going to be going through MLB, spreading like wildfire. I see Ellie De La Cruz from Cincinnati used one and hit 2 the other day. So everybody's going to want torpedo bats. Is that in the Twins' budget? We know the organization clips coupons. We know they don't want to spend any extra money. These torpedo bats aren't cheap. You know that. Will the Twins pony up and buy torpedo bats?
No. They'll figure out a way to get them. If they want them, they'll get them. I'm not so
They're
sure.
going to want them. The way they've started? Because these things might be banned in a month.
Well, that's true.
You better get them now.
Well, according to the rules, they're legal.
Right, now.
For now. Yeah. I'd go out and get it right now.
I mean, Aaron Judge hit a ball the other day at Yankee Stadium.
But he wasn't using torpedo bat.
He wasn't?
No.
Okay, well,
he hit 3 home runs with I think he was using a fence post. I mean, that guy can hit home runs with anything.
Well, I was going to say, one of the balls he hit
don't worry
landed in Queens, and they play in the Bronx.
But he wasn't using the torpedo bat.
Really.
No, everybody else in that lineup was using them, but he wasn't using them. He doesn't need it. He looked at it and said, what do I need a torpedo bat for? No. Here's my question, and I brought this up as a possibility that the Twins brought back basically everybody, right? I mean, they didn't go out and make any big moves. We know that. Ty France, Harrison Bader. Is it a problem because they picked up where they left off from last year, having basically the same guys? I thought it might be, okay, you know what, we can push with this group. We're healthy. We're going forward, with the exception of Royce Lewis. But maybe it's hangover.
Well, it could be. I mean, they had a historic collapse last September.
Right.
Going into September, the Twins were either a first or second place team most of the season. The assumption was they were going back to the playoffs. It all looked good. And then they had a crash and burn. And now you're starting off slowly. You're not winning any fans back. That's for sure. They'll draw good against Houston for the home opener. The games on Saturday and Sunday, and the weather's not going to be, splendid. They'll probably be lucky if 17,000 fans show up. So, yes, it could be a carryover. And every loss in April or March counts the same as a loss in September. Probably the only thing saving the Twins is the AL Central doesn't have a dominant team, in my opinion. But again, you lose, and that's one more you got to win somewhere down the road.
I believe there was an AL Central team in the ALCS last year.
Well, they had 3 teams in the playoffs.
No.
But when push comes to shove, it's usually coming out of the AL East and the NL West.
Yeah.
All right, stick around. Much more coming up. We're going to chat with Lea B. We'll talk some T-Wolves here on 10K Takes. Your torpedo bat ticket.
When you see somebody who's a great skater, you can see in their individual rhythm. My name is Christian Grunna. I'm owner, head coach, operator, main instructor for Grunna Power Skating. We had a history of not just speed skating, but auto racing in our family, so we're always interested in being fast. I want every player that comes my way to develop their skills, but also grow confidence in themselves as a human being.
In Lakeville, Minnesota, dozens of meeting venues are ready to host your next corporate event, banquet, and holiday party. Lakeville has unique conference facilities, a variety of hotels, an abundance of team-building options, and dining that are sure to impress. For suggestions that suit your needs, please call the Lakeville Convention and Visitors Bureau at 952-469-2020 or go to visitlakeville.org. Lakeville, we mean business.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
We are 10,000 Takes, and we're going to talk some hoops now. The Minnesota Timberwolves on the final drive to get in that top 6, Eric. And I think that's a big deal, obviously, because you don't want to have to play in that play-in round. We're joined now by Lea B Olsen, who's going to be part of this road crew heading over to and through the East and back to the Midwest and wherever else as the Timberwolves wind up this regular season. It is a big deal, right? I mean, they need to get into that top 6. I mean, obviously, you could still make it, but I think I would prefer being in the top 6 rather than taking a chance and maybe having to open up against OKC. That might not be a great matchup.
Yeah, the way OKC's been playing this season, that would not be an optimal choice. But yeah, you're right. It's like every game matters. And I think this season it's just been hard for the Timberwolves to have that real consistent understanding that like these teams that you have to beat will actually impact you at the end of the season. And that's really what we're seeing now is that wow, if we could have just won some of those games, against Washington or Portland early on in the season, you're in a totally different situation because it's so tight in the standings. But getting out of the play-in game is critical. I actually think if they're in a play-in game, they'll probably win it because these guys really do get up for big games. But it is not the kind of situation you want to put yourself in.
Lea, the Timberwolves usually log more air miles than any team in the NBA, with maybe the exception of Portland, who's stuck out there in the Northwest, and they don't have a dance partner anymore. Seattle and Vancouver are long gone. But you travel a lot with the team. You're on this current trip. A few weeks ago, somebody said to Giannis Antetokounmpo from Milwaukee, hey, it must be tough going on these long trips. It must be a grind. And And he says, well, it's not that tough. I've been through worse. We get, charter jets, 5-star hotels. We're fed well. You're with these guys. I know there's time zones and all that stuff to deal with, but they do travel in luxury. Paint the picture.
Well, yes. So you go to a chartered flight at Signature Airport. The plane is waiting for you. The plane leaves when the last player gets on the flight. So it's not like you're waiting for anything other than people to arrive. A big first class, the whole entire plane is built out to be in first class, and the players' seats are built for players. So from that standpoint, it's very nice and luxurious. And yes, they stay at the best hotels. They tend to stay at Four Seasons and the Ritz hotels. So that piece of it is all amazing. Everything is set and done. When you arrive at these hotels, the players are ushered to their rooms, their bags are taken care of, all the good stuff. I would say that what is just taxing in general is travel. Like travel's taxing. And even, these guys sleep so much because they need to. So, but like what happens is they play a game, and then oftentimes they'll just leave right away so they can get to the next city. So they're getting in at 3 or 4 in the morning. And so then you're just kind of doing that adjustment. And we've had a lot of back-to-back games this season where you're playing that next game. But those guys sleep, and then they get up and they practice and go to a game, and that's their life. So we've seen from the Wolves this season that they actually play better on the road, and Coach Finch likes them on the road because I think there is a more direct focus of basketball only on the road. So there are some advantages, but I think sometimes like just time changes and getting in late and all those things that are different do kind of add up.
All right. The big talk coming out of this past weekend, of course, was the basket brawl. The fight at Target Center with the Detroit Pistons. Looked like the Pistons of 88 with Rodman and company. Bill Laimbeer. Your thoughts on the response by the Wolves, and obviously it fired them up for the remainder of that game. They were down 10 at the time. They win by, 15, 20 points in the game. But you've been around this team. Do you see that kind of spark helping them ignite down the stretch here? And were you surprised to see DiVincenzo jump in there?
No, that's one thing I like about DiVincenzo is I thought when we got him from the Knicks that he brought a little bit of edge to this team that was needed. And I think in that little brawl, he kind of wanted to prove that, you're not going to just roll up on me, and I'm going to let you know about it. So I wasn't surprised that he was so entrenched in that. But and I think I thought it was good for the team. I think it is good for them to have something to rally around, and that they've been known all season long as a team that's really connected and a team that cheers for each other. Ant is kind of the ringleader of all of that. They all really respect each other. So when something goes down on the court, you expect them to all get out there. I was a little surprised by how long it kind of all carried out on the court. And it's always worrisome when it goes into the stands or into the seat, little kids and all that stuff. It gets kind of scary. But otherwise, just kind of from the team aspect of it, I think it is good. I think these guys need anything they can get right now just to be like, we're a team, we're rallying together, and we have to get this last push right. We don't have time to mess around anymore.
So last season, this team goes to the NBA Western Conference Finals, equaling the pinnacle in franchise history that the 04 team did with KG and that group. Can they get anywhere close to that, especially if they go the play-in path or as a 5 or 6 seed? Do you really believe they're equipped to do it in the West, which, of course, has all sorts of landmines?
Yeah, the West is just incredibly tough this year. I mean, I feel like it is every year, but this year is ridiculous, which is why those standings are so critical right now is we need people to lose. We need to win. I think the Timberwolves are as talented as any team in the West right now, maybe outside of OKC. I think they have everything. I think they're missing some type of something that allows you to play at that high level all the time. But one of the things about the playoffs is that you can't. you cannot take nights off. You will, you'll just be out quickly if you do that. And so I think the playoffs get you to that natural piece where you really understand that every possession matters. That's kind of hard to get sometimes from this group. 20 games into the season when, you're playing the Portland Trail Blazers. They're definitely a different team than last year. That's been evident in that last year we stayed as the best defensive team all season long. This year they're still a really good defensive team, but they haven't been able to stay on that top mark. So they're just a little bit different, but they're explosive offensively now, and I think they have the tools on both sides of the ball to really beat any team in the NBA.
You think Julius Randle has finally fit in the way that they wanted him to? Because this could be it for Julius Randle. This could be a one and done for him this year based on his contract.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know the details of what they're going to do with that, but I do believe he's figured out how to fit in with these guys. And it just feels so much more comfortable. And I think the biggest thing that we've learned from the Rudy trade and from this trade with DiVincenzo and Randall is that it takes time. Chemistry takes time. And with both of those trades, we really saw it was more like 40 games in than the 10 that the fans were kind of hoping it would take. And so I feel like right now he's playing really well with this team.
Quick final thought, Leah. I got to ask you about Paige Beckers, Twin Cities kid. I know you know her. UConn once again, going to the NCAA Women's Final Four. Is she a slam dunk number 1 overall pick in the upcoming WNBA draft?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would say she's a slam dunk number 1 pick. And I always think about when Coach Reeves saw her at 8th grade practicing down at Lifetime one day, like she knew then when she saw her practicing that she was uniquely special. Her injuries have obviously hampered her, but her ability to come back from those, the way she plays, she has that kind of it factor, the way she plays, the way she can create her own offense and make her team better, and then how she makes everyone else so much better. What she's doing at UConn is pretty unprecedented. Well, not unprecedented, but she's moving up on the scales of all those great players. She's the 3rd leading scorer there now. So I'm excited for her. I think this is probably going to be her year.
Yeah. Move over, Maya.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Thanks, Leah.
See you, Leah.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Yep. She is Lea B Olsen, covers the Timberwolves and Minnesota Lynx, with us here on 10,000 Takes. Stay with us.
Great touchdown. Can I have a quick word with you? You are in jeopardy of failing my class. Change this or no more football.
If you want to be a great athlete, you have to study too.
I do want to play. I saw an ad on social media about reading out loud literacy program. Maybe they can help.
You did it.
When you read, you know. According to the 2021 to 2022 Minnesota Comprehensive Assessments, just 31% of black students are proficient in reading, compared to 59% of white students. In addition, just 20% of black students are proficient in math, in comparison to 54% of their white counterparts. The more you read, the more you know. Reading out loud literacy can help you. Visit llcooljorg.com for more information. Reading out loud literacy is sponsored by City of Minneapolis Community Trauma Response Fund.
Wally and Eric from 10,000 Takes here in the land of lakes. And if you want sports of all sorts, check us out. We cover all the bases, all the teams in the great state of Minnesota.
Vikings, Twins, Wild, Gophers, Timberwolves, Loons, you name it, we do it. Late night Saturday night on Fox 9 Plus and on the Fox local app.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
We are 10,000 Takes and your Minnesota Wild. Now, well, I tell you, back in November, December, even early January, you looked at the Wild, you said, well, they're a shoo-in this year, certainly for the playoffs, and then maybe even for a top 2 or 3 seed. Not looking like that now. Well, it's not going to be. They're still probably going to make the postseason, but it would take a big collapse to not make it. But they're going to have to fight through now. They're going to probably be a wild card going into this thing. And, losing twice to New Jersey over the last few days, that doesn't help their situation. They have got to start winning some hockey games here down the stretch, if for no other reason, to get some momentum going into the postseason.
Well, you're right, and they don't play very well at the X, and I think I have the answer to that.
Uh-oh.
It's a rundown dump. How can you win games at the XL Energy Center? I mean, the place is in shambles, and obviously the Wild are playing up to the level of their building. I was there last week when Alex Ovechkin skated into town, and they knocked off Washington. It was a good win, and then, of course, they lose 2 to New Jersey.
Go figure.
But that whole arena thing, it's another topic, but there's nothing wrong with the X.
Yeah.
It's an outstanding venue. But the Wild, here's my take. You can survive for a while without Kirill Kaprizov, who's clearly their star, the face of the team.
No doubt.
But for an extended period of time, they're not a factor. I would be shocked if they went beyond round 1 in the playoffs.
I completely
They've had
agree.
a lot of injuries. That's part of it, but everybody else has them too.
Everybody else has injuries, and they banked those wins and those points early on in the season. That's why they're going to be a playoff team. It has nothing to do with what they've done here over the last couple of months. They have been streaky at best to finish out the regular season.
Is Minnesota really the state of hockey? Let's see. Minnesota State and the U of M one and done in the NCAA men's tournament. Wisconsin won it in the women's tournament. It was played right here in the Twin Cities at Ritter Arena.
Gophers didn't even make it to the championship in the women's.
So I think from a prep hockey standpoint, yes, Minnesota turns out more talent than any state in the nation. But from a college and pro hockey standpoint, this is not the state of hockey.
No. It's the state of confusion when it comes to who the backup quarterback is going to be for the Minnesota Vikings, right? Are you still thinking that Aaron Rodgers might be a Minnesota Viking? I mean, they're talking about Brett Rippon being the backup quarterback this year. Come on. Stop teasing us with that. That just can't happen. You better have a backup plan.
And you better have one that's got a resume. Look, I don't believe anything coming out of Egan. I think it's a bunch of smoke screens with Minnesota and Pittsburgh as well. Those are the two teams that, if Rodgers plays for somebody, it's Pittsburgh or Minnesota. I think he probably would like to go and play for the Vikings. They have more toys for him to play with, like Jay Jets and Jordan Addison and TJ and Aaron Jones and now Jordan Mason, the new running back from San Francisco.
Well, and he'd like to stick it to the Packers, too, I'm sure.
There's no doubt about that. But on the flip side,
yes,
you can't argue with the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're the Green Bay of the AFC. And their stability with Mike Tomlin. Tomlin, I think, wants him badly. Tomlin they're on a treadmill in Pittsburgh. Yes, they go to the playoffs, but they're usually one and done now. There's a little bit of grumbling in the Steel City.
All right. Well, we'll see where he ends up. Where we end up is with Takes of the Day. That's coming up next. Stay with us.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
When you see somebody who's a great skater, you can see in their individual rhythm. My name is Christian Grunna. I am owner, head coach, operator, main instructor for Grunna Power Skating. We had a history of not just speed skating, but auto racing in our family, so we're always interested in being fast. I want every player that comes my way to develop their skills, but also grow confidence in themselves as a human being.
In Lakeville, Minnesota, dozens of meeting venues are ready to host your next corporate event, banquet, and holiday party. Lakeville has unique conference facilities, a variety of hotels, an abundance of team building options, and dining that are sure to impress. For suggestions that suit your needs, please call the Lakeville Convention and Visitors Bureau at 952-469-2020 or go to visitlakeville.org. Lakeville, we mean business.
Reading out loud, literacy will literally make sense of the things you see. Reading out loud, literacy will literally make sense of the things you see.
British A. Robinson, President and CEO of the Barbara Bush Foundation, stated, "America's low literacy crisis is largely ignored, historically underfunded and woefully under-researched, despite being one of the great solvable problems of our time. Learning to read is fun and essential." Reading Out Loud Literacy is sponsored by City of Minneapolis Community Trauma Response Fund.
10K takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode.
Yes.
Big shout out to the viewers in the Twin Ports and the Twin Cities, up and down that I-35 corridor. And they're going to learn here quickly what your mood is. Are you angry? Are you happy? Somewhere in the middle? What is it?
Well, we got a shred of good news from your Minnesota Twins. You know, you heard me last week complaining about the fact they hadn't get the TV deal worked out. Well, lo and behold, for the first time since 2012, your Minnesota Twins have an over-the-air free TV deal so you can watch Minnesota Twins baseball just by turning your television on. Yes, on Fox 9, you're going to see at least 10 games plus some national games on Fox 9. But basically Tuesday nights throughout most of the season, you will get Minnesota Twins baseball for free, the way it was supposed to be. Now, the big question is, are they going to be worth watching? Well, that's a difficult question at this juncture early in the season, especially with their March collapse. But nonetheless, they're coming to free television. They understand that, hey, that's part of their demographic. Folks that don't necessarily want to stream and pay the extra bucks. Folks that don't want to pay the extra tier on their baseball package or whatever on cable. So here it is, an opportunity to watch your Twins basically on Tuesday nights through most of the regular season. Very nicely done, Minnesota Twins. Now try and win some baseball games.
And the mood meter says he's a giddy guardian. He's in a good mood. Yeah, it'll be every Tuesday will be Taco Twins Tuesday. There might be a promotion for him there.
Okay.
My take of the day, you were talking about streaming. I'm going to talk about the NFL and Christmas. Now, remember, last season, the NFL played 2 games on a Christmas Wednesday. They jammed those games down the throat of the fan base. No need to play on a Wednesday. But, hey, Netflix said, we're going to pay you $150 million for 2 games. And the NFL, of course, the poster league for greed, says we're in. Well, now Christmas this year is on a Thursday. Well, you have the silly, stupid Thursday night football package for Amazon. That's not going away, unfortunately. So the NFL invites Netflix back to the Christmas party, and I don't know what the numbers are, but you know it's at least $75 million per game, if not more, because the NFL can extort money out of anything. So now we have 3 games on a Christmas Thursday. It's going to mess up travel for a bunch of teams in this league that says they care about player safety. NFL, go away on Christmas. What's next? Easter? I mean, they're going to do it if they can do it, and they're going to Bigfoot the NBA, and I just can't stand it. The NFL used to be popular because they played on Sunday and Monday. Well, that's going away. They're not really as popular as they used to be, in my opinion. And on that note,
not popular with you anyway.
I'm not going to say goodbye. Thanks for tuning in to 10K Takes.